Hey, sports fans, it's Captain Handsome here. As you know, last year I was having some issues with the site, so I had to stop doing my blog. So this year I just decided I was going to make a YouTube channel, and this is what we're going to do. I'll post about it on Instagram, I'll post about it on Twitter, plus it gives you guys a chance to see why everyone calls me Captain Handsome. Basically what I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do all the handicapping stuff. That's going to start right before week 1. I'll have my first one out on the 6th, and it'll give you my picks for the week. And every week I'm going to try to have it out on the Thursday. I might do another one on the Saturday or the Sunday morning if the lines have moved and I feel like there's some space somewhere, or if I pick up something else. Otherwise, you got to follow me at Captain_Handsome, at CPT_Handsome, because I post everything as I make the plays. For the next, 10, 11 days, I'm going to be doing previews for the upcoming season, divisional previews. I'm going to start with the AFC East today. I'm going to try to get all 8 done by the 6th because I want to have everything done before the season starts. If I don't get it done, deal with it. So like I said, let's start with the AFC East. We're going to start with the team at the top, the team that lost the Super Bowl last year, the team that everybody thinks is the greatest thing to ever happen to the world because, frankly, they sort of are. The New England Patriots, what can you say about them? They lost in the final last year. They're the best team in the weaker conference, and they're going to be the best team in this division by a mile because this division is not good. From an offensive perspective, you've got Tom Brady, who is one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. If you follow me, you know I don't think he's the best. I don't think he's ever been the best quarterback at any point in time. Like during his career, he's never been the best at that time. I felt like it was Manning, and now it's Rodgers, and I don't think it's ever really been Brady. So I don't think that guy can be the best quarterback of all time. I don't think he's bad. I think he's excellent. I think he's the best at limiting mistakes I've ever seen. I think he's probably the best at limiting mistakes of all time. But I think if Peyton Manning had played for the New England Patriots his whole career, he'd have 7 or 8 Super Bowls. I think if Aaron Rodgers had played for the Patriots his whole career, they never would have lost a Super Bowl. I think Aaron Rodgers might be the most talented quarterback ever. And this is a guy who for years has said Joe Montana, Joe Montana, Joe Montana. So Brady's very good. I'm not saying he's bad. He's just not the best of all time. So you got Brady, obviously. You've got Rob Gronkowski, who's going to play 9 to 11 games. You've got 71 running backs. And there's all your strengths. The receiving core is definitely not a strength this year. I thought it might be. I thought with Malcolm Mitchell coming back, he had a really great season. Well, not a great season. He had a great Super Bowl 2 years ago, and I really thought he was going to do something with that, and then he got hurt last year. They just cut Kenny Britt, who I thought was going to be like the surprise guy, like a poor man's Randy Moss. He comes in with all his attitude issues. Belichick smacks him around, and all of a sudden he's a stud. And and I have to hate him because he plays for the Patriots, but they cut him. Jordan Matthews got cut, so they're left with a bunch of short white guys. I guess that's what they like. Chris Hogan's okay. I mean, he's a the kind of guy who doesn't drop a lot of balls he shouldn't drop. Once he gets back, Edelman's good. But the truth is their receiving core is just not deep. So they're going to rely on Gronkowski to make a lot of noise. They're going to rely on those short little passes. They're going to rely on those, the smart plays, which is what they do. They don't do 50-50 balls, which is why I thought it was silly that Dez Bryant even went to visit there, because Dez Bryant's, as you saw in Dallas, at this point in his career, he's just a guy who just goes up to get it. He fights off 50-50 balls really well, and the Patriots, that's not what they are. They are a high percentage team. It's a bad match. As far as, areas I think that they should be concerned, obviously losing your newly drafted offensive lineman really sucks for them. The good news is they still have the best offensive line coach in football in Dante Scarnecchia, and he always seems to find a way to make it work for them. So I think the Pats are going to be fine. I think they're going to be an 11-win team. I think they're on their way down a little bit, and people have talked about that. Everybody says they think that that's what's happening. But they're still the best team in a crappy division in the AFC East, and they're still one of the top 2 or 3 teams in a subpar conference. There's no doubt the AFC is the weaker conference. The Buffalo Bills made the playoffs last year. The Buffalo Bills would have been the 12th best team in the NFC, but they made the playoffs last year. So The AFC is not as good a conference. The AFC East might be the worst division in the NFL. So, the Pats are going to win 11 games, and they're going to probably have a bye in the first round, and hopefully somebody beats them after that. I think the Dolphins are the second best team in the division, not because I think they're good, just because I think the Bills and the Jets are bad. I have the Dolphins as a 6 or 7 win team. I really like what they've done with the offensive line, which is the bit of optimism I have for them this year. I'm really happy that they've fixed the guard position. I hope that Jesse Davis is the answer. I hope that Kilgore's the answer. Pouncey might be more talented, but he was never on the field and apparently never practiced. So I think Kilgore's got to be a better option. I think Tunsil another year is going to be stronger and better. I'm glad they didn't let Juwan James go. There's a lot of talk about them letting Juwan James go. As for everything else, I mean, from a receiving standpoint, it looks like they're done with Devontae Parker, which I'm fine with. He doesn't seem to care. He just likes to fight people on Twitter and Instagram, so why bother? They've got some receivers. They've got a bunch of mid-range guys. I think Kenny Stills is obviously the cream of the crop, and I don't think anybody's going to deny that. Danny Amendola is getting a lot of talk because he is a super, super good performer in the playoffs, which is going to be awesome for the Dolphins if he's still around in 7 years. I don't really think it's going to be that long, but I'm just saying they're not a playoff team this year, so getting a guy who excels in the playoffs, super. As far as the defense is concerned, I know everybody's really concerned about the loss of Ndamukong Suh, and obviously that sucks. You're replacing him with a kid who isn't Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong Suh takes 2 guys, sometimes 3 on every single play. So that obviously is going to affect them. Where they need to be more concerned, though, is behind there. I think their line's going to be okay because they've got some crazy pressure from the ends that's going to make that line work. I mean, they've got 4 edge rushers who are all efficient, and I think that's going to be it's going to help the defensive tackles for sure. But their issue is with the linebacking core. They tell me that Kiko looks like he did 2 years ago, and he had a decent year 2 years ago, but he still was bad at pass coverage. So they just forced him into run coverage more often. I think that the Fitzpatrick draft pick is going to help that because you're going to have Fitzpatrick and you've got Rashad Jones, who is an exceptional safety. And then you've got TJ McDonald, and the 3 of them, one of them can work as a high, it'll be Fitzpatrick or McDonald filling in as that hybrid safety linebacker kind of role. And I think that that's beneficial. Their corner situation is rough. They love Xavier Howard. They seem to think he's God's gift to coverage. I'm not as big a fan as they are. All they talk about is how he covered Devontae Parker all training camp. And, everyone's covered Devontae Parker since he came into the league, right? So I know he had that huge game against the Patriots, so I'm always going to love him forever for that. But I don't know if he's a true number 1. And beyond him, it looks like Bobby McCain's the number 2. Tony Lippett, who I had super high hopes for, has not returned from his injury as well as we'd hoped he would. Cordray Tankersley doesn't seem to be taking the next step. So, from a safety position, they're deep as heck. From a corner position, they're not so deep. I hope that they go after somebody. I hope that they pick somebody up because otherwise I think that the secondary could be in some trouble. From a fantasy standpoint, I hate rookie tight ends. But Gesicki seems to be a guy that they love. They seem to be doing a lot of things with him. Obviously, he's not a great blocker. But if you looked at the numbers he put up, he destroyed every number at the combine. And they seem to really like him. They don't really have a goal line target. So, if you're in a deep league or if you've got 7 spots on your bench, maybe take him as your backup tight end. And he might be a touchdown upside guy like that. Otherwise, I think Kenny Stills is being drafted a little bit late, mostly because people don't think they're going to do anything. And Kenny Stills is an efficient guy. He's easily the best receiver on the team. He's definitely YR1. He's got jets. Him and Tannehill have done some stuff in the past, not a ton, but a bit. And Yeah, I mean, I don't think Tannehill's going to be anything to light the world on fire. I've always liked Tannehill more than the pundits seem to, but I don't think he's a superstar. I just think he's an average quarterback, and I think that if you look at his last complete season, he was having an excellent year. Excellent by his standards, not excellent by Aaron Rodgers' standards, but excellent by his. So I've got no beef with Tannehill. I think he's going to be fine. I think that offensive line is going to help him. I like adding Frank Gore as a inside the 10 back. But none of that's going to change the fact that they're still not a great team. They're not deep. They have a bunch of holes, and they're going to be a 7-win team. If they finish 8-8, I will consider the year very successful. Next, I'm going to move on to the Bills, and you'd think people would be big on the Bills because they drafted this stud quarterback that everybody seems to love, and he was outperforming A.J. McCarron at camp, but, I mean, if you're watching this and you threw a football, you were outperforming A.J. McCarron. Good news, if you consider it good news, is that McCarron's injury is not a broken clavicle. That apparently it's, I guess, a bruise or something. And so he should be back and healthy. I still don't think he's going to make the team. It looks as though it's going to be Peterman or Allen. I will tell you, and if you follow me on social media, you'll know I don't like Allen. I was never an Allen guy. I was really happy that the Bills selected him because I don't like him. And I think when you have a guy who has got a wild arm, he's got a big arm, but he's got a wild arm, and you have an offensive line that is that depleted. I mean, they lost arguably the top 60% of their offensive line this year. That's a huge hit. That's a huge hit. So, I mean, when Incognito went crazy, you just realized they were in trouble. They'd already traded Cordy Glenn, and I mean, it's rough for them. I think it's really tough to bring a rookie quarterback in with an offensive line that is absolutely atrocious, and I think the Bills have one of the five worst offensive lines in football. So I think they're going to be in trouble. From a defensive area, I still think the Bills are going to be okay, but I just think that they're going to be in a lot of trouble. They don't have any playmakers offensively, so I just think that they're going to be in some trouble. From a fantasy perspective, the only guy, what do you do with Shady? Is he going to be suspended? Is he not? I think if you can get Shady on a steal, you do it. If you can get Shady in the third round, I think you have to. Even if he's suspended a few games, he's still Shady. He's still their best weapon. He's still going to be a touches. He's going to have all the touches on that team. So I think if you can get him in the third round or later, I think you take him, because if everything is not the way that it is, he's a first-round talent. If there's no worry about him being suspended, he's easily a first-round talent. So I think if you can get him late, third, fourth round, you absolutely take him. He just went late second round in a draft I literally just finished, but I had him up there as a guy I was going to sneak and steal because he's just too efficient when he's there. If you get suspended 2-3 games, yeah, maybe you got to fill in your backup, but really, what do you lose in that when you've got a guy who's a top 5, 6, 7 worst-case talent for the rest of the season, right? So I think he's the only option on the team from a fantasy standpoint. I don't think there's really anybody else you want to look at. So that's where I'm at with that. I see them as being a 4 or 5 win team this year, and I don't have much more to say about them. So we'll move on to the Jets. As much as I loved the Bills quarterback selection, I hated the Jets quarterback selection. I was a huge Sam Darnold supporter. I honestly believe the Browns made a big mistake in getting Baker Mayfield instead of Sam Darnold. I think Darnold, I know he's the youngest, but I just feel like he's the guy who's got the head on his shoulders the best. I feel like he's the kind of guy who is going to learn an offense better. And I hate that the Jets have him. I hate it. As far as the team goes, I mean, we know they're not going to be good. The receiving core, I'm happy for Quincy Enunwa. I've always been a huge Quincy Enunwa fan, so I think he's going to get a lot more opportunity this year, mostly because they've got a bunch of troublemakers. Robbie Anderson, when's he going to get arrested next, right? I have a feeling that by the end of the season, Robbie Anderson's not going to be on the team because I think he's just too much trouble. I think he's going to get himself into more trouble, and I think he's going to be gone. And I think he can still be suspended. I don't know what's going on with that, but I think that he might still get suspended for the most recent trouble he's had. They also have Terrell Pryor, who, I mean, this guy keeps going places and not working out, but putting up numbers, and Why isn't he working out? Obviously, there's got to be something attitude-wise with this dude because teams just don't like him. Teams don't want him around, and so they just let him go. So I think there's a lot of room there for Quincy Enunwa to sneak in and make some noise. Another guy I really like is EJ McGuire. I know he's basically the third back right now, and I know they signed Crowell to come in and be the number one back, but they're definitely a committee back team, so I think McGuire's got some opportunity to move and make some plays and do some things. On the whole, I just don't think the Jets are very good. I think you got Jamal Adams defensively, and beyond that, they've basically just been losing pieces and losing guys who have been around for a long time and have been efficient for them. And it's almost like they're starting with a fairly clean slate, but they've really only got one massive playmaker as far as I'm concerned in Jamal Adams. And beyond that, I just don't think they're that great. So I don't see it being a great year for the Jets. I think the best thing they did was that Teddy Bridgewater contract, and I think the best thing they could do is trade Teddy Bridgewater as soon as they get offered at least a third-round pick. And I agree with everybody else. I don't want to be the guy, I think everyone's stupid. I don't know. I have my own idea. No. He needs to go to the Jaguars. If you're the Jaguars, why are you not doing this? Why are you not at least throwing a fourth and seeing what they say? Because you've got a guy who has proven time and time again that he just can't get you to the next level. You've got a Super Bowl caliber team, except the fact that your quarterback is junk. So go out and get a guy who maybe can be something different. Maybe can be a difference maker. Go and get Teddy. Go and get him. And I think that's the best thing that the Jets did was sign Teddy to that tiny non-guaranteed contract that if he doesn't make the team, he gets the signing bonus, and that's unreal. It's a very smart move. I hate that the Jets did it because it was super smart. I hate it. All that said, the Jets are still a bad team. They got a bunch of troublemakers, so I don't think they're going anywhere. I think that it's going to be another bad year. I think they're going to get a great draft pick, and I hope they don't use it as well as they did this year's draft pick. That's basically what I have to say about the AFC East. So tune in the next time I post this because I don't know when it's going to be. When I'm going to try, I think I'm going to do the NFC East. Thanks, guys. Always remember, follow me at CPT_handsome. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I will probably give you a smart alecky answer. Or if it's really funny, I'll read it on the air one time. Thank you very much, guys. Go Dolphins.